Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm a guy called Joe, and this is Bootstrapping Tools Let's Build, where we go through different applications to help scrappy bootstrappers just like yourself figure out how to build apps and not break their bank. Now, before we dive into today's episode, please make sure to check out our YouTube channel. We got lots of videos up there that go over all sorts of different types of applications, including Retool, Google Sheets, Google Apps Scripts, Data Studio, among many others. If you don't see something that you're looking for, feel free to send an email over to feedback@bootstrapping.tools. We're happy to take a look at any of the apps that you're working with and need help with and make a video tutorial just for you. Now, for today, we're actually going to be talking about Retool and Shopify. And more specifically, for this video's topic, we're going to be showing you how to connect your Retool account with your Shopify account via the API. That way, you can build quick, easy internal tools for your Shopify account using Retool. So let's actually dive right into it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to check out your Shopify account. So when you're in your account, this is going to look pretty familiar. I actually just created a brand new account, so we can start off at the same foot here. What you'll see on the left hand side is apps. So when you click on that, you're going to see all the apps that you have installed. I only have one app installed right now, and that's the Simple Sample Data. It's free for development sites. I think it's like $1 if you want to use it for a non-development site, but doesn't make sense that you would have to. But I installed that just so that we can show you guys some data as we go and dive into Retool and connect it. The thing that you actually need to do is to get your API keys from Shopify. In order to do that, you have to click on the Manage Private Apps, and that's actually found all the way at the bottom after you click into the apps page on Shopify. When you click on that, it's going to take you over to your Private Apps section. Now, you might not see the Create Private App button. You might see something like Enable Developer Profile or something like that. If you do see that, just go ahead and click it. And just enable your developer account there. Once you do that, then you'll see this button that says Create Private App. Essentially, what we're going to do here is we're going to create a brand new application, a private application that we're going to tell Shopify is like just used for us. And as the screen loads, it takes a little bit of time for Shopify to spin up, I guess, everything that it needs to do in the background in order to create this new application. But once this loads, you're going to see you can give it a name. So since we're using this specifically for Retool, and that's actually best practice, if you do have multiple applications that's accessing your Shopify data, your Shopify account, you're going to want to create different applications for it so that you can better manage the API credentials that you're giving out to each individual application. That way, if something goes wrong for whatever reason, you can just turn off that API access instead of turning it off for everybody. But so we're going to call this app name Retool, and then we're just going to put ourselves over here as the emergency contacts. And then over here at the admin API, that's the one that we're going to want to use. And if you're ever not sure which one you need to use, Shopify does have a lot of documentation around their API. So they'll actually talk about like which API is relevant for whatever you're doing. So for us, it's the admin API, which is the core API for them, where you can get products, customers, orders, inventory, fulfillment data, and all the basic stuff. You have the storefront API, which is like a little bit not so safe, I think. So you want to be a little careful if you need to use the storefront API. They got like payment apps and ping API, things that might be useful for you, but for us, we're going to be using the admin API. So going back over to your Shopify account, to the setup over here, what we're going to do is we're going to show inactive API permissions, and you're just going to go down the list and just like say, what should this application have access to? If you're not sure about something, just go ahead and leave it as no access. You can always change that later on. But analytics, yep, we're going to want that. Fulfillment orders, we're probably going to do something with that. Customers, since we are building a tool in Retool, it probably makes sense that you or one of your employees or your colleagues are going to want to control the customer data and be able to read that from Shopify and then send back any updates, like maybe there's a typo in the email or the phone number or something like that. Discounts, maybe you want to control discounts from the app, or draft orders, yeah, sure, why not. you might as well just like give yourself as much access as you need without, creating any type of security risk. So GDPR data requests, you can do read access there, gift cards, sure, why not? Inventory, if you sell something or you fulfill an order, you're going to want to update your inventory through there. Kit skills, not exactly sure what that is, but read, write, why not? Legal policies, I'm going to say read access because legal is kind of like iffy. Probably want to leave that to specifically going to Shopify to edit that. Geographic locations of stores, headquarters, and warehouses. You can get some read access on that. Marketing events. Basically, you just go down this list and you give yourself all the access that you basically need. Online store pages, probably don't want to do that through Retool, so we can just use that. Order editing, read and write, orders. You basically just go down the list here. Now, as I go down this list and I click on this, one thing I do want to mention is that if you're not familiar reading API docs, now's a really great time to get used to it. All the docs are relatively the same when you look at different types of APIs. You're going to have like different sections on things or topics, right? For in this case, when we're looking at Shopify, you're going to see one for products, you're going to see one for orders, you're going to see one for customers, you're going to see one for fulfillment. You're also going to need to also understand pretty thoroughly the e-com nature, like getting orders and fulfilling them and all that. And I actually think that's all we need. And the API version, the latest one is this past July, so that's good. And the storefront API, I'm going to go ahead and just say no to that because we don't need it. And let's just do a quick check over here. So we got the name, you got the emergency developer email, we're doing the admin API, we did all the access points or scopes. Then we hit save, and we're going to create this app. Now this is loading. Let's go back over to the reference docs here so we can talk a little bit about what we're going to need to do. So, as I was mentioning before, you got to get used to reading the docs. The docs are going to be your best friends as you develop your Retool application, especially if you're not really used to building out applications using APIs or just connecting with APIs in general. Spend some time here, look through each one of those. For now, we are primarily interested in the admin API. So you can kind of open up this. There's a GraphQL reference and a REST reference. For this video, we're going to be primarily focused on the REST, which is just a RESTful API. So within there, you'll see that there are different sections for access, analytics, billing, customers. You click into that, you'll be able to see that there are different resources in here that you can gather information about. You can do some GET requests, which is basically just getting data about a customer, and you can also do POST or PUT requests, which is basically updating that customer's information. And then you'll see the same thing is going to be relevant for orders, where you have GET requests for specific order information, and then you can also get you can make POST requests to an order in order to make any changes to it, such as closing it or keeping it open or just updating the order itself. Now, let's see. Did Shopify finish? It did. Okay, great. So now we have our app created, right? And you're going to get an API key and then you're going to get a password. There's also this example URL thing, but this is like when you use basic authentication through the URL. We're not going to do that in Retool. But let's go back over to the documentation here. What I want to show you is up here, you look at API usage, you click on that and then go to authentication. Now this is going to be important because this is how we're going to hook up your Retool application to your Shopify account. Now there are two ways of authenticating over here. You can do OAuth or you can do basic HTTP authentication. For our purposes for Retool, we're just going to do the basic Auth, which basically what you're going to do is you're going to pass a request over to Shopify using certain parameters, the username and password, and then it's going to authenticate you and say, hey, yeah, this API with this password is allowed to view the data from this particular account. So over here, you notice basic auth, and this is the one I was talking about before. It's in the URL. We're not going to do that. We're just going to use a basic. I'm going to pass it through as a parameter in the header. So you'll notice here, it's going to just say the username and password through basic auth, and then you can notice that the URL that's actually being used in here is example.myshopify.com. That's typically what you're going to have to expect out of your URL. So going back over to your Shopify account, you'll notice that the URL up top for this application, which is our Bootstrapping Tools application. It's bootstrappingtools.myshopify.com. So go ahead and just copy that. That's going to be our base URL. So going over to our Retool application, you'll see here I actually have it put in already. And this is an old one, so I'm going to have to actually change this, but that's okay. I can change this, no problem. So we named this Shopify demo just for this account, just for this video's demo purposes. And the base URL is that URL that I just copied from the top. Now, by adding this resource into Retool, this will allow you to select it when you're building apps later on to just say, I want our Shopify demo resource, and then it's going to pre-populate this first part of it, and then it's going to always use the same set of credentials. That way, no matter which resource that we're querying from on our Shopify app, is going to be giving us the same base URL. So if I go back over here and go over to the admin API, and let's say REST reference, and then go over to customers and customer. When we're making the call, let's say this get one over here, let's click on that and then dive down into the actual documentation. You'll notice that it doesn't have that first portion of it. That's because this is just the endpoint that we need to hit, and the base URL, the first part, is what we're actually going to be storing in Retool. So go back to our account. We have the API key over here, so let's copy that. Go over here, paste it in because it's different now. And then the password, don't bother trying to copy. I'm going to delete this these credentials after all this, so there's not really much data in there anyway that you can use. But it's basic authentication is what we're going to be using. So basic auth username and basic password. Just again, it's the password over here and the API key over here. So once we have that, hit the save button. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to create a brand new application from blank, and let's call it Shopify demo. Okay, so now once we have this up and running, let's just go ahead and test it out. Let's make sure that the query is working. So this query one, let's call this get customers. And then since we were already using the customer, we'll use that. You'll notice here that Shopify demo, the REST API, that's already selected as a resource, and it already pre-populates that base URL for us. So all we need from here is this guy. Copy that, come over here, paste it in. So it's going to be bootstrappingtools.myshopify.com/admin/API, and then the version, which in this case is 2021-07, and then customers JSON. And when we preview this, we should expect to see the results of information for our customers. And that's basically it. We have, I think there's 9 or 10 or something like that customers that was generated from the simple sample data. All right, I think that's about 8 or something like that. And that's essentially how you connect your Shopify account to your Retool account. So let's go ahead and save this, and then going back over to our resources just to show you one more time. When you come here and then you hit the create new button, you're just going to want to set it up so that give it a name, you're going to give it the base URL, and then you're using the basic auth for the authentication type, and then just copy over your username and password from the private app that you created on Shopify. But that's it for today's video. We just went over connecting your Retool account with your Shopify account via API so that you can start building Retool applications with your Shopify data, and that this is going to allow you to get information as well as send information up to Shopify. Of course, there are many other videos like this, so please make sure to check out our YouTube channel for all of that. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop a comment in the section below. But that's it for this video. Of course, if you like the video, please make sure to hit that like button. It's the best way to help support the channel and make sure that other bootstrappers just like yourself can find the video. And also it helps with YouTube's search algorithm. So the more likes that this video gets, the more people who can see it and learn from the video just like you did. And of course, we have other videos coming out that's all related to our Let's Build series and concepts. So make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you get notified of the next video that comes out about Shopify and Retool. So hit that subscribe button as well as the bell. But this is Bootstrapping Tools Let's Build. I'm a guy called Joe. It's been a pleasure, and we're out.